In the early morning when you wake up, when your lower limbs exhibit an ideal state of muscle tension, it means that the motor system has entered the optimal functional state. The core supporting element of this ideal physiological state is the metabolic balance achieved through precise nutritional intervention, based on evidence-based medical research. This article will systematically elaborate on the regulatory mechanisms of 7 key microneurones on the motor function of the lower limbs. Analysis of core nutrients. 1. The physiological regulatory network of vitamin E3. During the process of human aging, the motor system undergoes irreversible degenerative changes. The synthesis rate of myofibrillin proteins decreases. The reconstruction of bone units is unbalanced, and the proprioceptive function declines. In recent years, research has confirmed that vitamin E3 deficiency is an important potential factor exacerbating the above pathological processes. Research on metabolic characteristics shows the epidermal phototransformation efficiency exponentially decays, with age a decrease of up to 70 in the population over 65 years old. There is a significant positive correlation between the frequency of outdoor activities and the serum 25-OBHD concentration R 0.82, P 0.1. The risk of falling in the vitamin E3 deficiency group 20 ml is 3.2 times higher than that in the sufficient group 30 ml. At the molecular mechanism level, vitamin E3 exerts regulatory effects through the following pathways. 1. Regulation of myosin heavy chain gene expression, activation of the VDR-XR complex. 2. Enhancement of the gating effect of calcium ion channels, increasing the sensitivity of the RYR1 receptor. 3. Promotion of mitochondrial biogenesis in type I muscle fibers, activation of the PCGC pathway. Clinical intervention data shows that continuous vitamin E3 supplementation 2000 IUD for 12 weeks can lead to an 8.7 increase in the cross-sectional area of the quadriceps femoris, a 42 extension of the standing duration with eyes closed, a 29 reduction in the coefficient of variation of the gait cycle. It is particularly important to note that the maintenance effect of vitamin E3 on fast-twitch muscle fibers type I is dose-dependent. When the blood drug concentration for 10 ml, the conduction velocity of muscle spindolepharin nerves can be increased by 18, which has important clinical significance for the rapid initiation of the postural reflex. The impact of vitamin E deficiency on lower limb function and the scientific supplementation guidelines. At the physiological level of muscles, an adequate reserve of vitamin D is a fundamental element for maintaining motor function. Clinical studies have confirmed that when the body's vitamin E concentration is lower than 30 ng/ml, it will trigger the mechanism of muscle fiber atrophy, specifically manifested as a 20-35 decrease in neuromuscular conduction rate and a weakening of myofibrillin contraction efficiency, which will directly increase the risk coefficient of falling by 1.8 times. Modern sports medicine research has revealed the anti-inflammatory properties of vitamin D. By inhibiting the secretion of inflammatory factors such as IL-6 and TMF, it can effectively reduce the intensity of the inflammatory response in muscle tissues. For the common chronic pain syndrome of the lower limbs in the elderly population with an incidence rate of approximately 38, increasing the serum vitamin E level to 50 ng/ml can reduce the visual analog scale VIS score of pain by more than 3 points in 64 of patients. For the group with recurrent muscle fasciculation, morning stiffness, or idiopathic lower limb pain, clinical observation shows that through 3 months of intensive vitamin E supplementation, 72 of the subjects have significantly improved scores on the motor function scale MFS. This change often appears before the improvement of biochemical indicators, suggesting that vitamin D has a special mechanism for rapidly regulating neuromuscular function. The metabolic imbalance of vitamin E not only weakens the motor system but also triggers dysfunction in multiple systems. Epidemiological data from the International Osteoporosis Foundation (IOF) shows that the annual bone mineral density loss in people with vitamin E deficiency can reach to 0.3 times that of normal people, and the risk of hip fracture increases by 2.9 times. During the process of bone mineralization, as a biological regulator of calcium and phosphorus metabolism, vitamin E controls the intestinal calcium absorption rate, normally 30-40, which can drop to below 10 in case of deficiency. This metabolic abnormality directly leads to the destruction of the trabecular bone structure, reducing the bone's impact resistance by 60-75. Statistics show that among the elderly over 65 years old, the probability of fragility fracture after a fall is only 12 in the vitamin E sufficient group 30 ng/ml, while it is as high as 47 in the deficiency group 20 ng/ml. In addition to the motor system, vitamin E receptors VD are widely distributed in cardiovascular endothelial cells, glial cells, and immune cells. A number of cohort studies have shown that for every 10 ng/ml decrease in serum vitamin D, the risk of cardiovascular events increases by 17, the incidence of cognitive impairment increases by 23, and the probability of respiratory tract infection rises by 31. This multisystem correlation makes vitamin E deficiency an important inducement of geriatric syndromes. Targeted nutritional intervention strategies include 1. Sunlight therapy. It is recommended to expose the bare forearms and palms to sunlight during the period when the UVB index is 3.7, usually from 9:11 am or 3:05 p.m. A continuous exposure of 20-35 minutes can stimulate the epidermal 7-dehydrocholesterol to convert and generate approximately 800 IU of vitamin D. It should be noted that sunscreen products with an SPF of 15 or above will reduce the synthesis rate by 97. 2. Dietary fortification. Although food sources can only provide 10-20 of the daily requirements, it is recommended to consume ocean fish rich in vitamin E 3 times a week. For example, Atlantic salmon contains 988 IU 100 g, fortified nutritional yeast containing 500 IU serving, and combined with ingredients such as shiitake mushrooms after being irradiated by ultraviolet light, the vitamin E content can reach 1000 IU 100 g to form a combined supplementation plan. 3. Precise supplementation. According to the clinical practice guidelines of the American Endocrine Society, the recommended daily intake for people under 70 years old is 600 IU, and it should be increased to 800 IU for those over 70 years old. For those with severe deficiency whose serum concentration is lower than 20 ng/ml, it is recommended to conduct a 6-8 week shock treatment 50, 0 IU per week under medical supervision, and then switch to the maintenance dose. It is recommended that people over 55 years old have a 25 OHD tested every 6 months, and the ideal concentration should be maintained in the range of 40-60 ng/ml. The latest guidelines for the prevention of falls in the elderly emphasizes that after including vitamin E monitoring in routine physical examination items, the incidence of accidental falls in nursing homes has decreased by 41. Through the formulation of personalized nutritional plans, the years of preserved motor function in the elderly can be extended by 5-8 years, significantly improving the quality of life in their later years. Maintain the original framework and length. Adopt the writing style of preventive medicine, and integrate pathological mechanisms and practical suggestions for daily life. Second, the core commander of the bone guard calcium elements. Compared with the young population with active bone reconstruction, the elderly face more severe problems of bone mass storage. Medical imaging studies show that human bone mass decreases by 0.30 per year starting from the age of 35. This structural loss makes the elderly bones face an added increase in the risk of fracture. As the core part of the body's weight-bearing, the lower limb system is the first to bear the consequences of calcium deficiency. Data from the Royal College of Orthopedic Surgeons of the United Kingdom indicates that the incidence of hip fractures in people over 65 years old increases by 19 every 5 years, and the mortality rate due to complications within 6 months caused by such injuries can reach 20. A normal standing action in daily life may thus turn into a rehabilitation process lasting up to half a year, or even change the lifelong activity pattern. The biological root of this situation lies in the emergency of the calcium storage pool. More importantly, the physiological mission of calcium is not limited to constructing the Great Wall of Bones. At the level of the motor system, it is actually the language of muscle programming behind every touch of the toes to the ground and every standing up action. There is a chain reaction triggered by calcium ion messengers on the surface of the muscle cell membrane. Sports physiology research shows that when the serum calcium concentration is lower than 0.1 mol, the efficiency of calcium ion release from the sarcoplasticum reticulum will drop sharply by 40, which will lead to abnormal recruitment of motor units. Clinically, it is manifested as a 2.3-fold increase in the frequency of calf cramps and an 18 decrease in the maximum voluntary contraction force, directly affecting the ability of standing balance. This also explains why people with calcium deficiency often experience sudden lower limb twitches and a persistent feeling of heavy legs. How to construct a scientific calcium supplementation plan. Although dairy products every 100 ml of milk contains 120 mg of calcium are still a calcium source with high bioavailability with an absorption rate of approximately 30. Modern nutrition emphasizes the concept of diversified intake. Cruciferous vegetables kale contains 310 mg 100 g. Chia seeds 631 mg 28 g. Traditional tofu calcium and gypsum powder type contains 350 mg 100 g, etc. are all excellent choices. Research has confirmed that the combined intake of plants and animal calcium sources can increase the overall absorption efficiency to 38. However, for the group with lactose intolerance affecting 65% of Asian adults or gastrointestinal absorption disorders, an intelligent supplementation strategy is particularly important. Clinical nutrition guidelines suggest that calcium citrate or amino acid chelated calcium preparations are more suitable for the elderly with reduced gastric acid secretion. Combining with vitamin E3, an increase of 10 gml in serum concentration can increase the calcium absorption rate by 15 conformous supplementation matrix. However, it is necessary to be vigilant that when the serum calcium concentration exceeds 0.6 mol, the risk of vascular endothelial calcification will surge by 3 times. The formula for intelligent calcium supplementation and dietary calcium target amounts of 800 mg fortified supplementation to 100-400 mg strength training. The American College of Sports Medicine specifically points out that 30 minutes of anti-gravity exercise per day, such as tai-chi stepping, elastic band training, can increase the activity of osteoblasts by 45, promoting the directional deposition of calcium in the trabecular bone structure. Conversely, the sedentary lifestyle will cause 40% of the ingested calcium to be lost with metabolism. It must be emphasized that calcium metabolism engineering is a systematic project. For the elderly with a long-term calcium intake of less than 800 mg per day, the risk of falling is 1.7 times that of those with sufficient calcium intake, and the probability of losing the ability to shop independently increases by 53. This is not only related to the hardness of bones, but also serves as the cornerstone for safeguarding the autonomy of life in old age. From strolling in the park in the morning to standing up instantly while playing with grandchildren, these precious life scenes are all based on scientific calcium balance strategies. Third, the hidden commander of nerve conduction, vitamin B12. In discussions about muscle strength building, most attention is focused on proteins and minerals, while little attention is paid to this coenzyme that maintains the neuromuscular channel. As a key factor in the methyl transfer reaction, vitamin B12 directly participates in the synthesis project of myelin phosphatidase. Neurological studies have confirmed that when its concentration is lower than 200 pg/ml, the conduction velocity of peripheral nerves will decrease by 15 ms, resulting in a delay of up to 3.8 ms in the signal transmission of the motor end plate. This physiological defect is clinically manifested as a comprehensive decline of the lower limb power system. Typical symptoms include a 43% weakening of the plantar tactile feedback during walking, a 29% decrease in the accuracy of ankle joint proprioception, and a 2.6-fold increase in the incidence of the sensation of ants crawling on the lower limbs at night. It is worth noting that approximately 38% of the population over 65 years old is in a subliptical deficiency state, the B12 200-300 pg/ml, which is an important cause of gait disorders in the elderly. The complexity of the absorption mechanism has exacerbated the nutritional crisis. Unlike other water-soluble vitamins, the absorption of vitamin B12 requires a precise triple protection system. Gastric acid dissociates the food-bound state. Our protein escorts it through the acidic environments. And finally, the endogenous glycoprotein IF secreted by gastric parietal cells mediates the absorption in the ileum. Due to factors such as gastric mucosal atrophy in the elderly population, the incidence increases by 12 every decade with age and long-term use of PPI drugs, which reduces the absorption rate by 72. An irreversible nutritional bottleneck is formed. This chronic depletion not only leads to the loss of muscle strength. Neurophilato shows that a B12 deficiency lasting more than 5 years will lead to demyotingulin changes in the posterior columns of the spinal cord, aggravating the conduction disorder of position sense by 41. Clinical tracking data shows that the risk of falling among the elderly in the regular supplementation group is 63% lower than that in the deficiency group. and the gait coordination score is increased by 2.4 times. However, most patients mistakenly attribute the initial symptoms to natural aging and miss the golden intervention period of 6-12 months. Strategies for reconstructing the neuromuscular channel include 1. Precise dietary supplementation. Prioritize natural sources with high bioavailability oysters containing 98.9 g per 100 g, beef liver 83.1 g 100 g, mackerel g 100 g. Among dairy products, Swiss cheese 3.39 for g 30 g has the best absorption efficiency. Vegetarians need to rely on fortified nutritional yeast for 0.8 g per tablespoon or specially processed algae products. 2. Targeted supplementation. For those with gastric acid deficiency, methylcarbamide and sublingual tablets g per day can be directly absorbed bypassing the digestive tract. When there is a deficiency of intrinsic factor, intramuscular injection of hydroxycobalamin at 1 mg per month can ensure 100 bioavailability. It is worth noting that a serum homocysteine level is an important indicator for judging functional deficiency. 3. Neural remodeling training. While undergoing supplementation treatments, combining proprioceptive exercises such as standing on one foot with eyes closed and balance bed training can accelerate the remodeling of neural synapses. Research shows that in the combined intervention group, the latency of the gastronection's H reflex is shortened by 18 after 12 weeks, and the dynamic balance index is increased by 37. It must be clear that the function of the lower limbs is a comprehensive manifestation of the nerve-muscle coupling system, even if the cross-sectional area of muscle fibers remains intact. If the conduction efficiency of motor neurons decreases by 30, the maximum explosive force will decrease by 58. Regularly monitoring serum B12, the ideal value 500 pgml when combining with nerve electrophysical testing can effectively warn of potential risks. This combined nutritional moral intervention strategy can enable people at the age of 70 to maintain gait parameters equivalent to those of a 55-year-old, truly achieving a state of life where one is old but not declining. 4th, the master regulator of the cell energy station, magnesium ion. In the microscopic world of the neuromuscular junction, magnesium ions play a crucial role in activating the ATP enzyme. Every time the sole of the foot touches the ground, approximately 3.1018 magnesium ions participate in regulating the release of calcium ions from the cytoplasmic reticulum, ensuring the precise coupling of actin and myosin. This precise regulation at the molecular level increases the efficiency of muscle contraction by 28 and reduces the risk of abnormal electromyographic activity by 60. The clinical symptoms caused by magnesium deficiency have typical circadian rhythm characteristics. Among patients with restless leg syndrome or LS, 74 have a serum magnesium concentration 0.7 mol, and the frequency of abnormal electrical discharges in the gastronection's muscle at night is 3.5 times that of the normal group. Clinical sleep monitoring shows that the non-rapid eye movement sleep period of those with sufficient magnesium is extended by 23, which is crucial for the nighttime repair of muscle tissues. The physiological value of this essential mineral far exceeds the regulation of a single system. In the field of bone metabolism, as a cofactor of alkaline phosphates, magnesium directly participates in the orderly arrangement of hydrochromatous crystals. Research shows that for every 100 mg increase in the daily magnesium intake, the bone mineral density of the femoral neck can increase by 0.8. More importantly, magnesium directs the transport of calcium in the blood to the bone matrix by activating the TRPM7 ion channel, increasing the efficiency of calcium deposition in the bone by 35 and effectively preventing vascular calcification, reducing the risk by 42. The factors causing the magnesium nutritional crisis are complex. Commonly used drugs such as thiazide diuretics can increase the renal magnesium excretion by 300. And long-term use of proton pump inhibitors can lead to a 63 decrease in the intestinal magnesium absorption rate. Coupled with factors such as the increase in the proportion of refined grains in the modern diet with a magnesium loss rate of 75 and insufficient intake of dark green leafy vegetables, a decrease of 68 compared to 50 years ago, an invisible deficit of nutrients is formed. Biological strategies for reconstructing magnesium balance. 1. Precise dietary supplementation. Prioritize natural food ingredients with a magnesium-calcium ratio of 12. pumpkin seeds containing 156 mg per 30 g, Brazil nuts 107 mg per nut, dark chocolate with 85 cocoa contents, 65 mg per piece, etc., are not only rich in magnesium but also contain polyphenolic substances that enhance absorption. It is recommended to process grains using the germination process, which can increase the conversion rate of magnesium phytate by 40. 2. Targeted nutritional intervention for those with intestinal absorption disorders. Magnesium threonate with a transmembrane absorption rate of 92 or magnesium malate with a bioavalanche of 80 is recommended. Clinical data shows that supplementing to 100 mg of magnesium glycinate before bedtime can relieve the symptoms of RLS in 67 of cases and increase the duration of slow-wave sleep by 28. 3. Metabolics energy management. Combine vitamin B6 supplementation to promote the cellular transport of magnesium and the regulation of sodium-potassium balance to maintain the potential difference of the cell membrane. Research has confirmed that the muscle strength recovery speed of the group with combined magnesium and potassium supplementation is 41 faster than that of the single supplementation group, and the efficiency of lactate clearance after exercise is increased by 33. When the serum magnesium concentration is restored to the ideal range of 0.851, 1 mol, significant physiological improvements can be observed, an increase in the mitochondrial density of skeletal muscles by 19, an increase in the degeneration efficiency by 27, and the standardization of the release frequency of synaptic vesicles at the neuromuscular junction. These changes at the molecular level are directly translated into measurable progress, such as an improvement in the gait cycle, a 15 shortening of the swing phase time, and a 22 increase in the score of the step test. For the group pursuing active aging, magnesium balance management is an indispensable biochemical cornerstone for achieving functional longevity. The current balancer of neuromuscles potassium elements, the sudden contraction of the gastrocnections muscle when waking up in the morning. This subnormal extremographic phenomenon that troubles 58% of the population over 65 years old often points to the imbalance of electrolytes inside the cells. As the core electrolyte for maintaining the stability of the action potential, the disruption of the potassium ion concentration gradient, intracellular concentration 140 mn versus extracellular 3.55 mn, will cause the resting potential of the muscle cell membrane to rise from 90 mV to 75 mV, increasing the risk of spontaneous depolarization by 3.2 times. The clinical manifestations of this ion imbalance have a progressive characteristic. In the initial stage, it may only be manifested as plantar tremors during walking with an incidence rate of 41. As the serum potassium concentration drops below 3.0 mol, characteristics such as weakness and dorsiflexion of the ankle joints, 28 decrease in muscle strength, and an extension of the swing phase in the gait cycle exceeding the normal value by 15 will appear. Geriatric research has confirmed that for every 0.5 mol decrease in the blood potassium level, the failure rate of the dynamic balance test increases by 1.7 times. The physiological value of potassium extends to the field of bone metabolism. It stabilizes the blood pH within the range of 7.357. 45 by regulating the acid excretion of the renal tubulus. When the system is acidic, pH 7.3, the activity of osteocochal surges by 45, and the release of calcium from bones increases by 3 times. Clinical data shows that supplementing 4,700 mg of potassium per day equivalent to 5 bananas can reduce the annual loss rate of lumbar bone mineral density by 0.8. 3 strategies for constructing potassium balance. 1. Intelligent dietary matrix. Root tuber category. Baked potatoes with skin potassium content 926 mg per medium-sized potato are better than boiled ones with a loss rate of 38. Dark-colored fruits and vegetables. Avocado 975 mg per piece. Beet leaves 1309 mg per cup. It is recommended to quickly steam or boil them with a retention rate of 92. Seaweed category. Laver potassium content 1796 mg 100 g can be made into a low sodium seasoning. 2. Metabolics energy plan. Combine with magnesium supplementation to promote the activity of NACATPase. Control sodium intake for every e.g. excess of sodium. 30 mg more potassium needs to be excreted. Supplement coconut water 600 mg of potassium per cup after exercise to restore electrolytes. 3. Precise monitoring system. For those with normal renal function, the target potassium level in the blood is 3.84, 5 mol. For patients with chronic kidney disease CKD, it is necessary to maintain a narrow range of 3.55 mol. For those taking renin-angiotensin and aldosterone system REIS inhibitors, monitor electrolytes monthly. It should be particularly noted that potassium supplementation needs to follow the Goldilocks principle. Both deficiency and excess pose risks. When the serum potassium level is 5.5 mol, the action potential duration of myocardial cells is shortened by 30, which may trigger life-threatening arrhythmias. It is recommended to evaluate the body's metabolic status through a 24-hour urine potassium test. Normal value 25/100H, 25 mol 24H, and formulate a personalized plan in combination with Holter monitoring. For the elderly who pursue exercise endurance, maintaining an ideal potassium balance can increase the distance of the 6-minute walking test by 21 and shorten the time of the 5 French sit-to-stand test by 19. This is not only a nutritional intervention but also an electrophysical defense line to safeguard the freedom of movement in old age, making every step as precise as the conduction of an electric circuit and every joint movement as stable as the operation of a biological battery. 6th unit. The precise navigator of calcium metabolism. Vitamin K family. In the nutritional matrix of bone health, vitamin K acts as a coenzyme of carboxylase. This biological transformation mechanism endows acetylcholine OC with calcium binding activity. Clinical data shows that the carboxylation rate of acetylcholine in those with sufficient vitamin K intake G-day can reach 92, which is 3.7 times higher than that in a deficiency group G-day, directly determining the biomineralization efficiency of calcium. The physiological function of this fat-soluble vitamin has spatial specificity. By activating matrix GL-protein and NGP, vitamin K can inhibit the calcium deposition in vascular smooth muscle cells by 67, reducing the arterial calcification index by 42. For the lower limb circulatory system, this means an improvement of 0.15 in the ankle brachial index, ABI, and a 31 reduction in the incidence of intermittent claudication. In terms of joint health, vitamin K inhibits the IL-mediated inflammatory cascade reaction by regulating the Gas6 protein signaling pathway in chondrocytes. After 12 months of supplementing vitamin K to NK7 for patients with knee osteoarthritis, the WOMC pain score decreased by 28, and the joint space width improved by 0.2. This change is directly related to a 35 decrease in the concentration of MNP13 and the synovial fluid. Muscle dynamics research reveals that vitamin K increases the contraction efficiency of skeletal muscles by 19 by maintaining the carboxylation state of phosphatidylate NER in the mitochondrial membrane. A double-blind trial for the elderly with sarcopenia shows that in the group with combined supplementation of vitamin E3 800 diu and K to 200G, the 6-minute walking distance increased by 83 meters, and the cross-sectional area of the quadriceps femoris expanded by 4.2. Strategies for constructing the vitamin K nutritional matrix. 1. Diet optimization plan. Vitamin K1 phylloquinine. When Cal G100G is cooked with olive oil, its bioavaladija is increased by 4 times. Vitamin K to menaquinone, that's a providing G of MK7 per serving, and eating it with fatty fish can promote absorption. Special source, foie gras G100G of MK4. It is recommended consume it twice a week. 2. Precise supplementation plan. For the general population, in the form of MK7 180-200G per day, with a half-life of up to 72 hours. For those at high risk of osteoporosis, MK for 45 mg taken in divided doses per day, and it needs to be taken with medium-chain triglycerides. For patients with cardiovascular diseases, it is recommended to supplement a combination of K1 and T and a ratio of 13. 3. Drug synergy management. For those using warfarin, maintain a stable vitamin K intake 60-80 G-day. After antibiotic treatments, supplement MK7 300 G-day for 8 consecutive weeks. When used in combination with anti-osteoporosis drugs, take them with an interval of 4 hours. 7. Vitamin B6. The chemical name of this water-soluble vitamin is pyridoxine, and its efficacy in maintaining the vitality of the lower limbs and the operation of the body is often seriously underestimated. different from its common perception as just a nutritional supplement. Its regulatory mechanism in the human motor system has unique biological value. In the fields of nerve conduction networks and muscle fiber regeneration, the biological activity exhibited by vitamin B6 is particularly worthy of attention. It is not only an essential catalyst for neurotransmitter synthesis, but also an indispensable cofactor in the protein metabolism process. Clinical observations show that when the body's reserve is insufficient, even if the muscle group has sufficient strength reserve, there will be phenomena such as slow movement and abnormal energy metabolism. Its unique mechanism of regulating nerve impulse transmission is often ignored by the public. When the serum concentration is lower than the standard threshold, there will be obvious delays or disorders in the electrical signal transmission between neurons. Clinically, this situation is mostly manifested as abnormal physical sensations such as peripheral paralysis and the sensation of hand scrawling. In severe cases, it can even affect gait stability. It is worth noting that such symptoms are often misjudged by the middle-aged and elderly population as simple muscular atrophy, but in fact, they reflect the nutrient deficiency state of nerve endings. In the field of anti-exercise fatigue, the anti-inflammatory properties exhibited by this vitamin are also worthy of attention. By regulating the prostaglandin metabolism pathway, they can effectively inhibit the release of inflammatory factors in muscle tissues, thereby reducing the post-exercise soreness threshold for persistent joint stiffness or extended recovery periods. Appropriately adjusting the intake proportion of this element in the diet often produces significant improvement effects. As an important coenzyme for hemoglobin biosynthesis, its supporting role in aerobic exercise capacity should not be underestimated. The oxygen-carrying efficiency in red blood cells is directly related to the continuous contraction ability of muscle fibers. When the reserve of vitamin B6 is insufficient, the body is prone to a decrease in blood oxygen saturation, which in turn leads to typical symptoms such as a sudden decrease in exercise endurance and heavy limbs. If there is an abnormal sense of tiredness in daily activities, it is likely a warning sign of the deficiency of this nutrient. Regarding the acquisition channels, modern nutrition research provides diversified selection plans. High-quality animal sources include poultry meat and deep-sea fish such as salmon and albacore tuna, and plant-based ingredients are preferably bananas, tuber vegetables such as potatoes, chickpeas, and nutritionally fortified grain products. Through scientific dietary combinations, the daily intake can be ensured to be maintained at an ideal level. For specific groups of people, such as those with gastrointestinal dysfunction or vegetarians, it is necessary to carry out nutritional enhancement supplementation under the guidance of a professional physician. According to the latest guidelines of the Chinese Nutrition Society, a daily requirement for people over 65 years old is recommended to be adjusted to 1.5 mg for women and 1.7 mg for men. It should be particularly noted that although dietary sources are relatively safe, long-term excessive intake of synthetic preparations may cause neurotoxic reactions. It is recommended to regularly monitor the blood drug concentration through a third-party testing agency. If this special topic analysis has inspired you in your health management, we sincerely invite you to press the like icon to support the creator team. Every interaction of yours is an important reference for us to optimize the contents. You are welcome to share your practical experience or raise your doubts in the comments section, and we will select typical questions for in-depth analysis. New users, please click the subscribe button and turn on the push reminder. Senior viewers are advised to check whether the notification settings are complete. Master the scientific way of health preservation and improve the quality of life. Let's continue to explore the mysteries of health in the next special topic of nutrient decoding.